Dear students, this content video discusses about line by line explanation of the poem My Heart I Gave Thee Not to Do It Pain, written by Sir Thomas Watt. Thomas Watt's author's note. Sir Thomas Watt was born in 1503 and died in 1542, was a prominent English poet and diplomat during the Renaissance, known for introducing the Petrarchan sonnet into English literature. Watt's works often explore theme of love, politics, personal reflection. His poetry laid on the groundwork for later poets such as William Shakespeare and Sir Philip Sidney. He had played significant role in shaping the landscape of Renaissance. Author's biography, early life. Thomas Watt was born around 1503 to Sir Henry Watt and Annie Skinner. His family was a noble lineage and Watt received a classical education. Diplomat career. He was served as a diplomat and ambassador for King Henry VIII, representing English interests in various European courts. His diplomatic mission took him for the places such as Spain and Italy, exposing him to different literary contributions. He is often credited with introducing the Petrarchan sonnet into English literature. He adapted and experimented with forms and themes from Italian poetry and contributing to the development of English Renaissance poetry. Read a poem, My Heart I Gave Thee Not to Do in Pain, written by Sir Philip Sidney. My heart I gave thee not to do in pain, but to preserve. It was thee taken. I served thee not to be forsaken, but that I should be rewarded again. I was content thy servant to remain, but not to be paid under this fashion. Now since thee 'tis none other reason. Displease thee not if I do refrain. Unstate of my woe thy desire, assured by craft to excuse thy fault, but since it please thee to finish a default, farewell I say, parting from the fire. For he believeth bearing in hand, ploughed in water and sown in sand. Introduction of the poem. Most people who have fallen in love with wrong person who have felt exactly what Thomas Watt describes 500 years ago. A bafflement, heart and disappointment, a sort of indignant resentment of the honest and true feeling have been mistreated. And tiny thread of embarrassment such as mistook which has been made. So Thomas Watt, My Heart I Gave Thee is an poignant Petrarchan sonnet that dwells into the complexity of love, betrayal and resignations. The poem was composed during the Renaissance. Thomas Watt reflects the shifting landscape of courtly relationship and tumultuous emotion that accompany requited love. The poem is characterized by the emotional depth, masterful use of language, and thematic exploration and paradoxes inherent of the romantic entanglements. Structure of the poem, lines and stanzas. The poem is a single stanzas written in 14 lines, function like complaints or a love lament. The meter. Thomas Watt typically writes in iambic pentameter with the Renaissance irregularities. This poem is also approximately iambic pentameter. Rhyming scheme such as A B, A B, C C, B D, B E, F B. The author alters conventional rhyming. The pattern is irregular but tightly linked with repetition and echoing sounds. Refrain like repetitions. Several lines are echoes like key phrases such as My heart I gave thee, creating a clinical and pleading structure. The form of the poem, when you take about the form of the poem, it is a genre, it is a courtly love lyric, then Renaissance sonnet like form, though not exactly a Petrarchan sonnet or a Shakespearean sonnet category. When you talk about the mode, it is an astrophic which has been addressed you as directly. His beloved has been directed as you. Then we could find dominant devices in this form, such as direct addresses, like phrases, My heart I gave thee. And we could find repetition devices as in one of the dominant devices. It continuously comes in the form of this poem, whereas emphasize betrayal and emotional injury of the poet. An antithesis we could find, okay, gift of an heart verse pain is written Then a conceit of the heart as a gift of the pledge is also one of the dominant devices used in this poem. Then moral reasoning characterized by Watts' moralistic love poetry is also a very strong dominant device used by author. Walter like shift near the end, the speaker returns to the complaint, a kind of weary resignation, and we could find the author's autobiographic note, which is reflected in this form of the poem. The tone of the poem, hurt and reapproach. The speaker feels wounded by betrayal and emphasizing that heart was given in trust but not to be misused. Of course, in the beginning, we can see the speaker has given his heart as a true symbol of love, and whereas it has been misused by his beloved. The next is pleading and but control. The tone is emotional but not widely passionate. It is measured and dignified and reflective. Accusatory. The phrase though is gently but clearly blamed and causing unnecessary suffering. We can see both the lovers accuse each other, they find fallacy with each other. And next, in the sense, resigned and desolation. The closing tone suggests the speaker often expressing the injury, accepts the truth, and withdrawal the hope. Let us see line by line explanation of the poem. Line 1. My heart I gave thee not to do in pain. My heart I gave thee. This phrase, the speaker says that he has given his heart to his beloved. The heart here refers to as a classical symbol of love and deep emotion. And next phrase, not to do in pain. This phrase, it means not to cause it pain. The speaker emphasized that love was a gift and meant to be treasured, not to be sources of suffering for his beloved. So he asked his beloved that he has given his heart as a classical symbol of love and deep emotion. It has to be treasured, and whereas his beloved has bring up pain to him. The meaning of this line, the speaker tells that his beloved that he had offered his heart as a gift, not to bring him pain. Literary devices used in these lines are apostrophe. For example, these the phrase has been addressed as his beloved. Metaphor and personification is also we could find in this line, such as the heart stands for love and it is treated like an object that can be given, that it can feel pain. Antithesis, for example, he has given his heart, where in turn his beloved has brought pain to him. And we could find, he has gifted his heart to take care of his heart, but in turn his beloved has hurt him. What are the effects? And since it is very immediate, plenitive, and opening, and mixes courtly devotion with complaint. When we take about sum up of this line, the speaker gives their heart to the beloved without intending harm. It was given to be preserved by beloved. When you take about the analysis, this italic acts of giving his heart is being portrayed as an act of trust and vulnerability. Line 2. But to preserve it was thee taken. Meaning of this line, he have given his heart for safekeeping, but it was taken by the beloved, implying that it has been misused by his beloved. Literary devices used in these lines are irony. In the sense, he has given his heart to preserve, but it was taken by his beloved. Chiasmus, in sense, giving and preserving, and was taking his chiasmus. Of course, we can see he has given his heart and asked his beloved to preserve his heart, but in turn, his beloved has taken his heart. We could find another literary device used in here is inversion. The word order emphasizes he requests his beloved the phrases to preserve. We can see the effect of established betrayal or misuses. What was meant to trust has become possession. Line 3. I served thee not to be forsaken. Meaning of this line is this: he served and worshipped and attended her not so that he would be abandoned him. Literary devices used in these lines are courtly love diction. For example, served is a phrases evokes in medieval lover as a servant. Negative constructions heighten expectations not to be forsaken. Effect as that we can see the speaker's is very loyal role and very reasonable expectation from his beloved that she should return in back. Line 4, but that it should be rewarded again. The meaning of this line, he served with hope that his devotion would bring him some return of love and favor from his beloved. Literary devices used in these lines are synecdoche, mesdums, such as rewards can be means in affection, attention, status, and balance in text with the three lines contracts. And we can find the effect in sense moves from idealized service of practical expectation of reward and blends of love and exchange. And hence, the lover is expecting that he had ready to serve and served her, and she should not abandon him. In turn, she should reward him again. To analyze the line 3 and 4, the speaker served his beloved not to be abandoned but with an expectation to be rewarded. We can see the speaker emphasize the intention behind their service, expecting reciprocity of love. Lines 5, I was content thy servant to remain. Meaning of this line is he was willing to stay in this humble role as a servant or as a lover. And we can see the literary device used in these lines are repetition and parallelism, such as echoes in the phrases I serve thee, and as in humble diction as content servant. We can see the effect as he is emphasized his patience and willing submissiveness and staple country love. And line 6 in sense not to be repaid after this fashion. The meaning of this line in sense, but he did not expect that to be repaid in an unkind way that she had repaid him. And we can see that he had gifted his love as in a very precious manner, whereas in turn she had paid him in unkind and a dissatisfied manner. Literary devices used in these lines are antitheses, like for example, willing servitude. He served her, whereas in turn she unexpectedly repaid in a dissatisfied manner. Euphemism is also one of the literary devices used in this line. For example, the phrase the fashion stands for her cruelty and hypocrisy. So we can see the marks of this turning point is in effect in this poem that speaker objects the manner of beloved's response. Some of the lines of 5 and 6 we can see the speaker was content to be beloved servant and but not to be repaid in a very hurtful manner. To find out the analysis, the tone begins to shift and hinting the sense of dissatisfaction and unmet expectation. Line 7, now since in thee there is none other reason. Meaning of this line is the lover gives no reason, do not justify her behavior since she is spectacle in nature. The literary device used in this lines is skeptical tone, elliptical construction such as love, honor, constancy. Line 8, displease thee not, if that I do refrain. The meaning of this line is the lover withdraws from his anger and he withdraws from his servant position. The literary device used in these lines is polite imperative, softened reproach, emphatic rephrasing such as refrain instead of leave. We can see the effect that he announces retreat with courteous language and preserved dignity. Some of the lines of 5 and 6 we can see the speaker was content to be beloved servant and but not to be repaid in a very hurtful manner. To find out the analysis, the tone begins to shift and hinting the sense of dissatisfaction and unmet expectation. Line 9, unsatiate my woo and thy desire. The meaning of this line is he remained unstated, calm, and in sorrow, even if she remains unsatisfied with his love. Here, the grammar is allowed ambiguity, and we can see the literary devices found in this line is paradox, ambiguity in alliterations, verse sound, condensed phrasing, typical order poetry. Affix conveys an emotional complexity, grief, and continuous desire to unfulfill one-sided love. Hence, the lover loves is to be considered as one-sided manner, and whereas in turn the lover forfeits his hope and expectation. To sum up, line 10, assured by craft to excuse thy fault. The meaning of the line is he will use his skill and strategy to excuse her fault. Hence, he is convinced by artificify to excuse her. The line can mean he using artificify to cover her misdeed and her craft guarantees an excuse. Finally, the lover excuses beloved fault. Next, the literary device found in this line is ambiguity, irony, assured by craft suggestiveness, cleverness rather than genuine forgiveness, lethargic diction, excuse thy fault. The phrase here, excuse thy fault, refers to the beloved find faults with his beloved. The effect suggests the speaker will manage and forgive and give social excuses and then continue to suffer openly. Hence, to finalize, the lover suffers openly as it is one-sided love. To sum up the line 9 and 10, the speaker is unsatisfied with his own sorrow and the beloved desire, convinced to be beloved deceptive excuses. And to analyze this line, the speaker acknowledges the futility of the situation and craftedness of the beloved. Line 11, but since it's pleasant thee to find default. The meaning of this line is since he find with her action, but in turn he find fault with him, as she acts as if he had failed. So each of them find fault with each other. And literary device found in this line is antithesis, accusation, legal language. Feign default sound like judicial charges, tonal shift towards formal separation. And effect found in this line is the beloved choice to pretend a false accusation legitimizes his departure. 12. Farewell I say, parting from the fire. The meaning of this line, he says farewell and depart from his passionate love. It's been referred as on fire. The fire could be interpreted in two different perspectives, such as passion and household love. The literary device found in this line is metaphor. The word fire could be interpreted as passion or shared home, and evocative farewell and caesura gives emphasis to goodbye. Hence, a lover bids a goodbye to his love. His hope has been completely shattered by his beloved. The effect is a dignified exit, and fire image underlines warmth lost, and finally lost is withdrawal. Hence, the lover withdraws from his passionate love. The speaker bids farewell and parting from the metaphorical fire of relationship. To analyze this line, the decision of the pathway suggests the finality and the desire to escape the emotional turmoil. Hence, the lover escapes from his traumatic experience of his passionate love, which seems to be failure one. Line 13 and 14. The metaphor in these last two lines of the sonnet compares the futility of certain efforts in love to agriculture tasks that yields no result. The imagery of ploughing in water and sowing in sand suggests that speaker feels his attempt at love are pointless and trying to form an unsuitable condition. This highlights the despair and hopelessness he feels in his relationship. To sum up, the concluding couplet advises against believing false promises, comparing it to the ploughing of water and sowing in sand. Analysis in this, the proverbial warning reinforces the theme of deception and futility of trusting a false assurance. This highlights the despair and hopelessness of he feels in his relationship. To sum up, the concluding couplet advises against believing false promises, comparing it to ploughing in water and sowing in the sand. To analyze, the proverbial warning reinforces the theme of deception and futility of trusting in false assurance. This option implies a general comparison between love and impossibility, but it does not specifically address the unique imagery of ploughing and sowing presented in these lines. While this option touches on the theme of enduring love despite hardship, it does not directly connect to the metaphor of futility agriculture efforts. This option suggests a desire of love as attempt to plant, but it overlooks the critical aspects of futility expressed in this metaphor. This option accurately reflects the sentiment metaphor as it conveys the ideas that speakers' efforts in love are fruitless, akin and trying to cultivate crops in unworkable soil. To conclude this poem, Sir Thomas Watt, My Heart I Gave Thee, stands as a testament to the timeless exploration of love complexities, the pain of betrayal, and enduring human struggle to navigate the intricacies of relationship. This Petrarchan sonnet remains as a poignant example of Watt's contribution to the literary legacy of the English Renaissance.